Gun owners in House District number 20, HD20, are asking Georgia gun owners, who is the pro-gun candidate as we approach the May 24 Republican Party primary, guys? Aaron Dorr here with Georgia gun owners. And guys, as you all know, we love breaking down these races and showing you guys the objective information you have to make your own decision as to which candidate is pro-gun and which candidate may just trying to claim to be pro-gun to get your support to get them into office. As everybody knows, we have a real problem with anti-gun Republican rhinos here in Atlanta. Granted, this year, your pressure was so overwhelming, you forced them to pass constitutional carry. But it took 10 years, and it shouldn't have had to take anywhere near that long. And so now, as we are in a new election cycle with primaries coming quickly, the question you're asking us is, who's going to fight? Like, we want a fighter for our Second Amendment freedoms, not just kind of a yes man for leadership, because as we all know, that is the problem here in Atlanta. It is Speaker Ralston and his hyper moderate rhino brigade who are always blocking pro-gun bills. So in that context, we're breaking down District number 20. This is right over here in the bottom corner of Cherokee County and here in the map. And it features a three-way primary. We've had a couple of these now this year with current incumbent Charlice Byrd versus Lynn Saunders and Stu Hixson. So a three-way primary, one incumbent, Charlize, and then Lynn Saunders and Stu Hixson. Now, as is always the case with an incumbent, it's a lot easier for us to tell you where that person stands. We can look at not just their candidate survey with Georgia gun owners, but also how have they acted in office. And the great news for gun owners is that in office, for all the years she's been there, Charlize has been nothing but a champion for gun owners the entire time. She has co-sponsored this year's Second Amendment Preservation Act. And what that bill would do, for those who don't know, we call it SAPA for short, it tells Joe Biden that you might pass federal gun control or sign executive orders or do all this bureaucratic gun control, but we're not going to enforce it here in Georgia using Georgia troopers and Georgia deputies and Georgia city police departments. This is our state. We have our own constitution, we have our own rights, and by God, we're not going to aid you in taking those away using our own manpower. She's been a strong supporter of this all session long last year here in Atlanta. She was a leading supporter of constitutional carry. She has been for years. You guys know we finally passed that bill, finished that fight this year. A lot of it had to do with people like Charlize on the backside pushing and leading that fight for so many years. Very happy to acknowledge that. And perhaps, most exciting of all for us is she surveyed 100% pro-gun. Now you might say, well, she's obviously a pro-gun person. Why is that a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because more and more when Republicans get into office here in Atlanta, they go hard moderate. They become part of the rhino swamp. And you're seeing that more and more in these primaries, seeing some candidates who are obviously part of the establishment, Speaker Ralston crew, and those who want to actually fight for freedom. And so for us, seeing a candidate put their views in writing, on paper, sign the dotted line, which is now on our website, so you can print it off, you can keep it, and you can hold her accountable if she ever betrays your gun rights. That to us, that's a strong statement of where she'll stand going forward when it comes to our freedoms. And so because she's surveyed 100%, that means that Charlize is 100% opposed to red flag gun seizures. She's opposed to universal background checks, Biden's national gun registry. She's opposed to waiting periods. She's opposed to any attempt to ban our AR-15s. And honestly, these days, in D.C., where so many Republicans are supporting red flag gun seizure laws or are supporting universal background checks, that puts a lot of pressure on state legislators to do the same thing. And so to see someone like Charlize come out and say, hell no, and if you've ever met her, she's about this tall next to me, but she's a pure firecracker, and she loves to fight for gun owners. So it's not surprising that she says, hell no, I'm not going to support any of this gun control. But again, 100% survey from Charlize. Very pleased to see that. Her actions back this up in Atlanta. And again, a strong voice for gun owners during her time in office in the past. And she's promising to be that in the future going forward. That is Charlice Byrd. Now, with Lynn Saunders, though, it's very bad news because Lynn is refusing to sign the GGO candidate survey. And we all know what that means, right? It's just not a big secret. When a candidate won't sign a survey, I think she's signing one here, but she didn't sign the GGO survey. When a candidate won't sign their survey, we all know what that means. They don't want to put their views on the record because they intend, likely, in most cases, in our experience, they intend to betray gun owners once they are in office. Now, and in Georgia here, betraying gun owners as a Republican often doesn't mean voting for gun control. What it means is they get in there, they put their butt in that chair, they keep that seat warm for 2 years or 20 years or whatever the case may be, and they never actually fight. They never actually fight for gun owners. And so whether it's that lack of willing to fight for us, or whether it's an absolute anti-gun Republican rhino, we don't know, because Lynn Saunders refuses to fill out her GGO candidate survey. It could be either one. We don't know. What we do know is that she will not publicly support SAPA legislation, the Second Amendment Preservation Act. We do not know if she'll oppose red flag gun seizure laws. And these are the most pernicious gun control agenda items of our time. It's a top item for Stacey Abrams. It's the idea that a person can go in front of a judge in secret without you knowing about it and say, I think that person is dangerous. Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's your ex-spouse, and they can say, I think he's dangerous. And he bought a new gun last week. And folks, in many states, that recent purchase of a gun is evidence that they could use against you that you might be dangerous. And the judge can then issue a seizure order and say, you know what, we're just going to grab all of his guns. And then later on, a month from now, 2 months from now, whatever, 6 months from now, he can come back before a judge and try to appeal to get his guns back. It is the end of due process. It is the end of the presumption of innocence. It is the end of the idea that we are innocent until proven guilty in court. And again, with so many Republicans backing this, the fact that Lynn Saunders will not come out and say she opposes it, very concerning to gun owners. The same thing holds true with universal background checks, with waiting periods, with bans on our AR-15s, our 30-round magazines. These are accruing more and more Republican support at the federal and local level. And so we very much want to see Republican candidates come out in writing and put their name out there and say, I absolutely oppose these and will vote against them no matter what if elected into office. For Lynn Saunders to not do that, for her to refuse the GGO candidate survey, is very troubling to us here at GGO headquarters, and it should be troubling to you guys as well. Finally, we have Stu Hixson. Stu Hixson. Don't know much about Stu Hixson, about his background. He did sign the GGO candidate survey, and we're going to acknowledge that, but there is a caveat to this. When it comes to Charlize Byrd, she promised to sponsor pro-gun bills. We have possible answers are, I'll sponsor these bills, I'll co-sponsor these bills, or no, I'm a no vote on these bills. So for Charlize, she was 100% and promised to lead that fight for gun rights, promising to sponsor pro-gun bills. When it comes to Stu Hixson, well, he did survey pro-gun, and we're happy to acknowledge that. He never wanted a promise to lead that fight. He said he would co-sponsor bills, but that he would not take that next step to help us lead the charge for gun rights. And I don't know about you guys, but in 2022, with this madman in the White House, the fight for gun rights has never been more important. And the states, red America is where we see so many states locking up pro-gun freedom, securing these rights right now, because you never know what next executive order is going to come from Joe Biden's doddering old China bought and paid for mind. So we want to see at the state level, we want to see pro-gun lawmakers who want to fight, who want to lead, who want to be aggressive in trying to secure and lock down those freedoms for us while we can, while we're a blue state, right? And so again, while Stu did survey, that refusal to promise to lead that fight is a difference that we thought you guys should definitely know about. So again, if you're in district number 20, we're talking about Southern Cherokee County over here, three-way primary. If you bump into these candidates, Charlize Byrd, you want to thank her for always standing up for gun owners, for surveying 100%, for being there in the fight for constitutional carry, and for promising in writing to oppose every bit of Stacey Abrams' gun control agenda if reelected. When it comes to Lynn Saunders, you want to ask her, what are you trying to hide? Why won't you survey? Are you trying to push a gun control agenda? What is your problem? When all the rest of these candidates are putting their views on paper, why are you refusing to do the same thing? That's a question for Lynn Saunders. And finally, when it comes to Stu Hixson, you can thank him for his signed survey, but you want to know, why don't you want to lead that fight? We need champions. We need leaders when it comes to the fight for our gun rights right now. And we'd like to see that on these candidate surveys. So guys, that's what we have for you right now today in this district. It's a hot race. We want you guys to help us out. Pass this video around. Everybody that cares about gun rights, hunting club buddies, shooting club buddies, church friends, work friends, family members, even their brother-in-law. Put the word out. Share this video, whether it's on social media, whether it's by email. Get the word out. Share this video. And guys, if you haven't yet done so, join our fight for freedom today at joingggo.com. Thank you.